This was probably the ugliest website I had ever seen. I mean, since 1999 at least. The problem is, this website was only 3 years old. How on earth could someone have done that to this man? There was very little time left, and someone had to help him. He scared the hell out of me. Getting all of this free content on YouTube gave him false expectations. He had come to a shock when realizing that he'd have to actually pay to get professional help. He really thought one could create a professional, well-thought, user-centric website in 5 minutes. I had to save him from all the BS. But that BS anti-hero was strong. Only a superhero could fix this, and a digital one. Well, it seems chance was on his side this time because I'm the digital alchemist. Okay, that's better. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Now, why are you using the phone? Everybody uses Zoom nowadays.
Well, I'm not everyone. It takes work to be famous, right? I gotta stand out. But I'm fine, thanks. Listen, I need your help with something. You're into branding, marketing, and website stuff, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, I decided to launch a new plumbing business called Crappy Joe. Well, actually, I bought that business from old Joe who's retiring. Now, I need your help with redesigning the website. It's beautiful, but it was made by an intern who had a 2001 Dreamweaver license. And even though it's beautiful, for some reason, something's off, so I need you to fix it.
Okay, but I thought you were into being a YouTuber with a famous academy.
Yeah, that too. But I'm a businessman.
Okay, but you're aware that it's not going to be free, right?
Sure. Wait, are you serious? But I'm your brother, man. You gonna make me pay.
Oh yeah, and it won't be cheap either.
But why? It's just easy, right? Just buy a WordPress theme or even download a free one and create a website in 8 seconds. There are plenty of tutorials on YouTube about that. Just go search on YouTube and you'll see. Listen, I'll pay you a latte at Starbucks, right? Deal?
You wish. But you know, you can always go on 5cents.scam and I'm sure you're gonna get your money's worth.
Oh, that was mean.
True, but you know, you get what you pay for. At the end of the day, you gotta invest in...
Oh, I know.
In your success.
Exactly. Now, before I can quote anything, I will need a detailed brief and I will also need to go take a look at your current website.
Oh, that's gonna be an easy one. I want a website like Facebook, but in yellow. And for plumbing stuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Would you be open to a different scenario if I could help you reach your goals?
Sure. Show me the money. What do you suggest?
Well, what are the problems you have with your current website?
Well, I have decent amounts of traffic, but I get 0 new leads. Nothing. 0, nada, nix.
Okay, so what would be a measure of success for you? I mean, once the website is redesigned.
Well, the previous owner used to get like 2 inquiries per day, so that would be great.
Okay, so could you just send me the link to your website? I'll go take a look and I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Law of distraction. Here I am, Netflix. La Casa de Papel. Wait. Now?
Hey, Casino here.
Hey, what's up?
So I went to have a look at your website.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah, I'm sure she was hot in the 90s.
Huh? Who's she?
Never mind. So here's what I suggest. I identified branding issues, technical issues, user experience issues. So first of all, you don't have a brand, so let's work on that. Next, I need you to send me an email where you describe your ideal customer,
what are the challenges that they face. And also, I need you to tell me about your competition, your markets, what you noticed. Basically, I need to know everything about your company, right?
That sounds exciting.
Maybe not. But from there, I'll be able to redesign your website with a user-centric view. And of course, I will fix the technical issues and all the other issues.
Now, which issues? It's a piece of art.
Well, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But apart from the branding, well, first of all, your website is not secured, so there's no SSL, which is not good. Next, the text on your website is technically images because it's text within images. So it means that most of the content cannot be indexed by Google. So I don't know where you get your traffic from, but certainly not from that. So this is something we need to fix with the redesign. Also, your website is not responsive. So it's almost impossible to browse your website when you're on a mobile phone. And when you know that 6 to 7 people out of 10 will be seeing your website on a mobile phone, then it becomes crucial. And I tried, and it's almost impossible to scan through the content, let alone fill the inquiry form. And last but not least, I didn't see any call to actions on your website, which means that your visitors, they don't know what to do. So they might like what you put out there, but there's no call to action. And you need to tell people what to do. You need to tell them what you expect from them. Also, the website structure doesn't make much sense. There are other issues, but these are the main ones. So let's recap. We have branding, we have the redesign of your website, and I'm also going to suggest a new web host because yours is really, really, really slow. Now, you already have enough traffic, but if you need more, you can either go with online advertisement or with search engine optimization, or both. And if you need someone for that, I can hook you up with an expert.
Hold on. So you telling me that it's gonna cost me more than a latte and you don't do it all?
I could, but instead, I prefer to focus on what I'm very good at, and for the rest, I partner with experts in their own field. At the end of the day, you will get much more value out of it.
Okay, makes sense. So, how much is it going to cost me?
I've sent you a proposal. Check your email.
Oh, you did? Okay, hold on.
Hello? Are you there? You okay?
He scared the hell out of me. But he was fine. Getting all of this free content on YouTube gave him false expectations. He had come to a shock when realizing that he'd have to actually pay to get professional help. He really thought one could create a professional, well-thought, user-centric website in 5 minutes. I had to save him from all the BS. But that BS anti-hero was strong.
So first of all, how did I come up with this quote? Well, it all starts with a mini audit of the website. And like I said, there are several issues. Now, design-wise, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, even though I think you would agree that this looks really old. Now, as a professional, it's my role to get my client to trust me, to trust my subjectivity. So first, the design, like I said, it looks really old and outdated. You can see the glass buttons. It's really something from the past century. The picture doesn't really suit this type of website. I mean, you can see the quality is bad, and obviously what's happening in the picture doesn't make this company stand out. Also, you find some typos here. You find some ugly animated GIF from 1995. And then you see the text here. So this is not text, this is an image. So if I see, I can move it around, which means that Google cannot see it. Now, there's no call to action either. If you look here, just homepage, hobbies. Do we really need hobbies on a professional website? Staff, maybe there's another way to say it. Stuff, what we do, how we do, holiday pics, contact. So there's no clear call to action. Many buttons, maybe too much, that's sure. The logo also. So going back to our call to action, so he says, are you looking for a plumber? Any plumber that accepts getting paid in beers. So it doesn't make it really professional. 50 years of experience without changing my outfit. It's now time for me to let the new generation prove they have what it takes. I live in good hands with an famous buddy. Oi, Rodney, if you read this, you still owe me 12 beers. And time to relax. Time for me to relax with an ugly picture that nobody wants to see, right? Then we have a counter, which is really also something from the past century. We have lots of different fonts. I think everything is a different font here, with the ugliest the ugliest fonts of all. And I'm sorry if you love Comic Sans. And then some old techniques of keyword stuffing, which is really bad nowadays. Google really hates that, so don't do that. Now, we're not going to look through all pages, but let's look at the contact page, which is where the contact form is and where the issue apparently lies. Well, first of all, when you on a page that's so important, you want people to fill in the information, you don't really want to have annoying animations like that. You could have some subtle animations when you load the page, but you don't want that because, I mean, it's hard to get your eyes off of those animated GIFs, right? First of all, the form is really ugly, but if it works, it's fine. Now you need to take into consideration how it's going to look on a mobile because the website is not responsive. So that's how the website looks on an iPad. And this is the other page, the form. So it's really tiny, you really need to pinch in if it works. This is the mobile view of the homepage. And this is the mobile view of the form. So here we're simulating an iPhone 6, 7, or 8. So with all of that info, that's going to help you to have a mental idea of what you need to do on the website. Here, it's pretty easy. Everything has to be done. The branding is not working, the website architecture, basically everything has to be done. And the more experience you have quoting those type of projects, you will know the range in which this project is going to be. Also, you need to make sure that you constantly ask a lot of questions to your client to make sure that he doesn't want extra functionalities. Now, you can also suggest what you think would really fit this project. Actually, it's better if you do. As a professional, you should have something up your sleeve that you can suggest to a client that's going to help the project. So once you've got a price and you're going to send the quote to your client, he might react like we've seen, or maybe not as dramatic, but we'll try to negotiate. I mean, that's part of the deal. Now it's up to you how you deal with that. But the thing is, if you always discount your services, they're not going to trust you because they're going to think, okay, it was this price 5 minutes ago and now it changed for the same service. So personally, I don't do that. What I do usually is that, okay, I could cut part of the budget, but you're going to get less out of it. There's no way I can do the same thing for just for a discount, just like that. Now, for returning customers, that's a different story. But let's say for the first time or just for a one-shot project, they're not going to trust you and respect you if you do that. So my advice to you is make sure you have rock solid conditions when you quote such a project. Because if you quote too low, then you're going to waste a lot of money, waste a lot of time, and you're not going to feel right about it. So make sure that you really define the scope and that you say in your conditions that everything outside the scope will be subject to a different quote. And that's going to help you down the line. Now that our quote has been accepted, we can move on to our next phase, which is the discovery phase.
They say knowledge is power. Well, I needed a lot of power given the task at hand.
The more you know, the better you can help your client. That's why the first meeting after they've become a client is very important, because that's where you're going to get all the information, and that's why it's called the discovery phase. So after the first session, it became clear that he was not going to keep the Crappy Joe Plumbing Services branding, but I mean, who wants to be called Crappy Joe, right? He also told me that Old Joe, when Old Joe sold him the company, he told him that competition was becoming fierce online, but he was still getting 2 leads per day. Now, that could not be verified. Also, at the same time, there were technical problems with the web host. some modules that were not updated or not compatible. I mean, it was not possible to update those modules anymore. So that equal to a loss of leads. The average customer was B2C, so business to consumers, 87%, and only 13% business to business. Most of his customers are female. Don't ask me why, but 72% are female between 30 years old and 58 years old, and 28% are male between 36 and 64 years old. Now, about the challenges that the customers face in general, what they say is that it takes a long time to get a quote from most local plumbing companies. So it's important because that's where we're gonna direct our communication. I mean, if a client is able to deliver on fixing that issue, then we really need to act on it. So in the to-do list, I wrote check the competition, identify a suitable web host and content management system, then start a naming brainstorming session, define on the core message, and define the unique selling propositions. Now, of course, all of that takes a lot of time. So we talked about quoting previously, but there's always the reality of the budget. If the client doesn't have the budget for all of that, it's up to you, but you cannot work for free. A good strategy instead is to look for clients that are aware that you're the professional and that you can help them with all of the communication, because many people think that a website is magic, it's going to bring them all the traffic that they need, but it all starts with little details and bigger details, and branding is a bigger detail. And as you may have guessed, the naming of your brand is very important. So now that we have all that information, we can move on to crafting a solid plan.
The only way I could save my client was with a plan. I could hear the professor talking inside my head. Everything was in the plan.
So I've already covered how to create a website structure, but today we're going to put that into practice. So these are the pages we have. So if we take a look, we have homepage, hobbies, stuff, what we do, how we do, holidays picks, and contact. So the other pages that you don't see there and that should be there, and they're not all there, are privacy policy, cookie policy, terms and conditions, legal, sitemaps, and 404 page. Now, don't forget, try not to have more than 7 items in the navigation at the first level. This is related to short-term memory, and it's really going to help if you have less than 7 elements. This is what we currently have on top, with the logo on top. And this is my proposition. So we have the logo here on the left-hand side. Then in the middle, we have home, about us, testimonials, services, and contact. And then we get a call to action to ask the visitors if they want to get a quote. Then we have our content here in the middle, and at the bottom in the footer, we have our legal, privacy, and sitemap. And when you reach those pages, you get to the other less obvious links. So this is how it looks in a more graphical way. We have our homepage, which is the main page, and actually it's at the same level than the other pages in the navigation, but for search engines, of course, the homepage is on top. So we have home, about us, testimonials, services, contact, get a quote. So we have another one here. We have some other pages here, which are the pages you'll find in the footer. But this is what you'll get in the navigation. Now, bear in mind that the get a quote will be a button, a call to action. So even though it's a navigation element, it will be perceived just as a button. So really what people see are 5 elements in the navigation and a call to action. So now that we have a solid plan, it's actually time to move on to the next phase, design our wireframes, and create our prototype.
The best way to fail is to go all in with the plan without practicing first. So I had to practice and just focus on the plan alone without the details.
Okay, now that we have a plan, it's time for the wireframes and the prototype. Now, if you don't know what wireframes are, basically they are a visual representation of the structure of a page, and in our case, of a few pages. So you can totally do that with pen and paper, completely free. It's fast, free, and it works.
Now, personally, I prefer to do it on the computer, and for that you can use Photoshop, you can use online tools like Figma. So I've already tried Figma and it's beautiful, it works great, but it depends what the final website is going to be created with. Personally, I've found that it took a lot of time for me to just try to create a prototype, completely master the tool when I know I'm not going to be creating the website from scratch, but I'm going to be using a CMS. And in our case, I'm going to be using WordPress. And within WordPress, I'm going to use Elementor. Now, it's the same thing for Sketch. Many people use Sketch. It's beautiful. And once again, if you don't use WordPress, it's totally fine. The idea is that when you're going to redesign a website, it doesn't really matter what you use, as long as you know the ins and outs of what you're using. If you want to code from scratch, it's perfectly fine. And if you code from scratch, then Sketch and Figma might help you. Now, if you're not a developer and you're going to use something like WordPress or Webflow, it's also totally fine. What I want you to grasp here is just the idea and the concept. Now, I've created a tool called WIREMENTOR, so it's a shameless plug for my own product, but that's what I'll be using today. But you don't have to use that. You can totally create your wireframes for free with Elementor. This is just going to help me speed up the process. So how does this work? Basically, once I've installed WireMentor, I can just open a few pages. We have quite a few elements here and a lot of different variations. And I've already covered that in another video, actually more than one video. So you can always go and have a look. But basically, I have a style guide. So at this phase, we don't have the branded sorted yet, so I'm not going to change anything here. But once you go from the prototype to the actual design, this is where you can, just to help you as a reference, just change the colors, the font, so that it can help you for the rest of the project. But basically, I've opened a few pages, and all you need to do is just right click, copy, and then you can paste it in the page you're trying to create. And this helps to quickly prototype. So here we have some headers. Here we have a form for the quotes. And here, for example, we have a hero section. So I'm just going to copy that. And then I'm into my new page. I right click and I paste. And here I have my hero section. And let's do another one. Let me copy a feature section. So I'm going to copy. And right here, I'm going to paste. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of it, but you get the idea. And the nice thing is that it's already responsive. So once again, this is not about design, but it's really going to help to quickly send that to the client, and then you can move on to the next phase. So this is the page I actually started building. So that's the home page. And if we take a look at the front end, this is the final result. So like we've seen here, this is what we want from the plan. So home, about us, testimonial, services, and contacts. And this is what we have here. All those pages. So on the home page, we have our hero. Then we have our unique setting proposition. Testimonials. And then you're trying to convince people, why should they work with this or that company? And then we have a banner here. Okay, and let's take a look at get a quote. And here, as you can see, we have just a simple page with a form, but we want it to be big enough. We don't want any distraction like we've seen in the current website. So let me go back to home. So you probably notice it says comment here. This is really handy. This is a WordPress plugin called Project Huddle. Now there are other competitors to Project Huddle, but I quite enjoy this plugin. I think it's really well done. So for example, you see here, you have number one. So you and your customer can actually just click somewhere and add a comment. So I'm just going to click comment and click on, do you already have received the testimonials? Okay, and then if I try to add the comment, it's going to ask me my email. Now you can always password protect this page. You can make it so that only people with an account on your WordPress install can comment, or you can leave it open to guests. But the result is the same. It's really handy to really get all the feedback you need to move on with the project. Now, my tip is to usually what I do what I call revisions. So basically, I would ask my customers to put as many comments as they need, and then I will try to fix and answer all that in one round of revision. So depending on the budget they have, we can have 1, 2, 3, 10 rounds, 11 rounds if they want, but they will pay for the rounds of revisions. This helps with the project scope, because if you don't do that, then you're gonna have 1,000 questions, but you still quoted for a certain amount of hours if you charge by hour, or for the whole project. So you really want to pay attention to that. And I think that this plugin really helps to get that going. So once the client has agreed upon all the layouts for all the pages of the website, we can move on to our next phase. The damage was beyond imagination. The only choice left was to get a new identity. So as you know, the client has agreed to rebrand, and I think you understand why when you look at this. I mean, who wants to be called Crappy Joe and look so outdated right out of the bat? Now, if you recall, we got all this data from the initial session, and that's going to help us to define our brand identity. So once we get all this sorted, we know the values that they have in the company, and all the rest, we can start working on our new brand. So the first step is to create an industry mood board. And for that, it's pretty easy. You just go to Google Images, and for example, in this case, I type plumbing, and then I just started copying and pasting images. And it's not a mood board for the styling that I want. It's just to get a feel of the industry, what everybody is using. It may give me some ideas for a logo. It may give me some hints. And also, if I want to be different, that's going to help me also. So once we have the mood board done, we can move on with the typography. Now, obviously, it was not going to keep the name Crappy Joe. And because he already has a brand called Infamous Academy, he decided to go with the Infamous brand. So this was going to be Infamous Plumbers. And actually, later down the line, he told me he wanted to be Infamous Plumbers United. And it's starting to get really long. So we made a compromise that we'll be using Infamous Plumbers, and that when he can, when it's possible, we would add United. You always got to listen to your customer. For him, it was important. So we made that compromise. So first of all, I start to test a lot of different fonts in capital letters or in lowercase. And I just try to get a feel for, okay, what typography would suit that new brand, bearing in mind all the data I have on the ideal client, the spirit of the company, the values, and everything we're trying to achieve. So I had to bear in mind that, like I said, he already has the Infamous Academy brand, and this is the logo of Infamous Academy. So obviously I had to keep the Infamous logo the same, and okay, I had room for the other words. So I came up with this. So this is a first attempt. It's okay, but to me, it was just too simple. But you always need to go by phases when you create an identity. So I started with this, and then I moved on to just the initials, and I started testing. So this, for example, I'm just adding some shapes, and I started testing. Then, of course, I made it in black and white because at this stage, I don't want any color. I don't want to be distracted. And this is the one that I preferred personally. So I moved on to testing with shapes. So I like this one, but to me, it doesn't really suit plumbing. I don't know, for retail or for a law firm, it could suit, but not for plumbing. But I tried. I made several tests. I liked it, but not for this brand. So I moved on to using a drop, because if you recall, let me go back. With our industry mood board, I could see a drop here that caught my attention. There was one here, two here. So I wanted to use that also. And I came up with this. So first I had the drop with the initials, and then United here, then United inside, on the side, and finally following the curve of the drop. Now, when it's big, it's always nice, but when you make it smaller, it still has to look good. So obviously some of the text cannot be red.
So you could still use it, but at a minimum size requirement. Anyway, this was the final one that the client liked. So I made several versions. So that's the full version, that's the short version. When there's enough space, we can use it because it's still readable. And then we have the minimal version. And finally, I decided to change the font here. I mean, it's the same font, but a lighter version because this was a bit too bold, not enough contrast. So I thought this one looked better and my client agreed. And finally, the color palette. So we went very classic. Sometimes you don't want to do that. If everybody's using blue, you want to use something different. But here, obviously, we came from a very ugly website and a very ugly branding, and we need to reassure people that this is a plumber and that they know what they're doing. So this is the final color palette. And as you can see here, this color is going to be the color we use for our call to actions because everything is blue. So we want something that will catch the visitor's attention. Okay, so now that the branding is finalized, we can move on to the next phase.
They say content is king. Well, I was on a mission to make him the emperor.
So content is king, but not only for online marketers. When we talk about content, we also talk about photos, videos, the text, of course. But it's very important to spend a lot of time on the project to really have the right visuals. And that's why I like to work with professionals. So if you are a web designer or a developer and you are also a photographer, then fine. But can you be a photographer, a videographer? And even if you could do all of that, would you have enough time to do it? And that's why I like to partner with professionals as much as I can. You know, obviously there are some parts that I really enjoy doing on the project for my clients. So I would try to keep those for me. And the others, maybe I like it a little bit less, or even though I like it, maybe I don't have the gear or I don't have the talent I need. It depends. There are many reasons. Or maybe I have the gear and the talent, but I have no time. And that's where you start transitioning from just being a freelance and having a boss, which is you, and moving to more of a business where you can delegate. So obviously for the pictures, you can either work with a professional photographer or you can get stock images. Now, it's always best to have professional photos taken by a photographer for your customer. Sometimes you have to go with stock and sometimes you can do a hybrid, like we'll see a little bit later on, because I'm going to use that picture with the picture from the client with a green screen, so I can just key the face out and use that. Now you can do the same for video. And now when it comes to copy, of course, copy is so important. So if you're not good at copy and if you don't offer those services, work with an expert. But it all starts with the base material. So if you're doing video, you need to have good footage. If you need photos, you need great quality. And if you need text, and you will need text for a website, you need great copy also. You need a lot of information from the client. And then once you get all that raw content, now it's time to actually transform it.
They say inner beauty is all that matters. Yeah, right.
Good design is crucial, and that's why it's important that you spend some time on that phase. And if you can't, you need to work with someone who can. Now, previously I talked about mixing professional pictures with stock photos, and that's what we're going to do. We can do it either in Photoshop or Affinity Photo or any other software, but these are the best ones in my opinion. So if we move on to Photoshop, I've keyed the face out. Now, of course, it takes longer than a click, but just to show you the final result. And if you recall this image, this is the stock photo image. So we're going to first remove part of the face. So I've already done it. I'm just showing the final results. So I removed part of the face because this is going to be covered by the client face. Next, I'm going to add some shadow here. I'm going to add the head. And now we have an issue here because we can see the shadow. So I also keyed out I cut out that upper part here. So now it looks good, but we have an issue with the complexion of the arms. So I've also
cut that out and added some color. So now it's starting to look the way we want. Also, so I've used some graphic templates to create mockups with the final brand. So we can see another angle here. And here we can see an image we could use on the website, or we're going to use it in the brand guide, but basically to show the client so that he can get a feel of what his brand is going to look like on real objects, on real vehicles. So that's going to help the client to really materialize what his brand is going to be like once everything is finished. And we're definitely going to use that in the brand guide. If you don't know who you are, well, nobody else will. The brand guide of a brand is like the passport of a person. It's going to tell a lot of information about that person, but it's going to tell even more than a passport, because the passport is just has, you know, some basic information, your name, last name, when you're born, and that kind of things. But the brand guide is everything about the brand. It's going to be a reference for the owner of the brand, but also for the people who work with that brand. So for example, if that client wants to work with a social media agency, well, you can send them the brand guide so they know how to craft the images and so on. So this is our branding guide. As you can see, we try to put some pictures too. Always in the same spirit, we want people to understand what the brand is all about. Then we have some text explaining what the brand is all about. We have some images that show the type of images we want to use with that brand. And one of the most important page is the brand values. So here for my client, after talking to him and seeing where he wants to go with that brand, the values are optimism, fun, service spirit, and eco-friendly. Because he says every problem has a solution. So that's optimism. Fun all the way. Fun is very important for him. Passion about customer service. And we're not talking about words like most brands say, yeah, we have great customer service. He told me that this was key in his brand. So that's why it's here. And then that company loves the earth, so eco-friendly. Next, we have a detail of how the logo was built, the font, and so on, the various versions that we saw earlier on, but now it's really a bit more formal. Then we have examples of correct use of the logo and improper use of the logo. Then we have our color palette defined with hexadecimal numbers, RGB, CMYK. Then we have our fonts. Where do we use those fonts, in which situation, information about the domain name, and then once again we want to have some images to really understand what the brand is all about. Then we can put the aesthetical and technical guidelines, another imagery example that we already saw, and that's it for our branding guidelines. So this is really crucial, and like I said, if you need it for your project, you can download it for free. Now, this is really going to help me save my client for this project. They say words are nothing without actions. We were about to find out. Okay, now that our brand is final and validated and the prototype has also been validated by the client, we can move on to the design phase. And it starts once again with a mood board. So basically you can use any tool, and what I did is I just copy and pasted some screenshots of websites that I like. And it's not that I'm going to pick everything from one specific website. It's just I'm trying to see what do I like, what elements could I use, what brings inspiration. It's not about stealing someone else's work. It's about getting a feel for what's current, what's modern, and what would fit this specific brand. We always come back to the brand. Now, there's also the reality of the budget. Someone that has a really low budget, you're not going to have that much time to spend on the mood board. Maybe you're going to use themes. Maybe you're going to use specific layouts for a specific theme builder. It's fine as long as you really work hard on good design and you're really going to customize. You know, you're not just going to
take I don't know, a theme and just put the logo there and that's it. That's not really going to help your customer. But of course, if he has a low budget, then you need to start from something. I mean, you need to have a base. You can start from a design layout. You can purchase some layouts, but you really need to put your own thing in that work, because if not, then you're just a commodity, and you know your customer could have gone with someone else. You really want to bring in your expertise, and if you lack in that field, well, the good news is that you can train, you can practice, and you're going to get better. And I've already published a few videos to give you inspiration, and I will publish some more. But this is key. This is really important. So if you have to remember something here, is really look at the budget and then spend time according to the budget. Of course, always try to go the extra mile, but you're not going to work for free. Okay, so as a recap, always work with the budget in mind. Do your best and try to find solutions that match the budget and the time you can devote to it. Now, coming back to our mood board, maybe you're gonna like a button here. Maybe you're gonna like the way they laid out the asymmetrical design. Maybe you're going to like the creativity here. Maybe you're going to like the quality of the pictures, the color palette. There are many items that are really going to help you forge a mental idea, a visual idea of what you want to work with. And then the next phase is that you're going to start crafting your design. Now, once again, you can work with Photoshop, you can work with Sketch, with Figma. It really depends what the end website is going to be built with. Now, as I said, as long as you have a stack that you master, it doesn't matter if you're working from scratch or you're using WordPress. Well, I'm using WordPress 99% of the time, and within WordPress, I use Elementor and Elementor Pro. Now, if you're using Thrive Architect or Divi or Breezy, maybe you're using Beaver Builder, I don't know. As long as you have all these principles in mind, it's going to work out. So I know there are some wars of people who prefer that theme builder over that theme builder. I would say just try those that you can try and see which one you prefer, because everybody is different. So I much enjoy many theme builders, but I found that I really love working with the ecosystem I have now. It works well. So for the moment, I'm not going to change, but I'm always testing new stuff, and you should also, because if you don't test, you're just going to be stuck with what you're stuck with. So test from time to time, but try to master one stack. Okay, with that out of the way, we went from this, if you recall, with the little baby dancing and the ugly pictures and the text within images. We went to this, which is our prototype, which was way cleaner. And we can take a look also at the mobile version. As you can see here, that's already way cleaner. And from this, we went to this. So this is really a service-oriented website. You've already seen the branding, so you knew more or less what to expect, but you really want to use the white color in the background as opposed to the dark color here, which doesn't really match that type of service-based business. So it's really clean. We have a color palette. The first image is really striking, and we want the branding to appear. We also want the calls to actions to be really easy identifiable. Now, when we move on, we have our section here. So let me do a parallel. So we click here, we have our unique setting proposition. And here also unique setting proposition. I added the mockups we saw earlier on. Then when we click on the second action, we go to the testimonials. Same here, testimonials. Then we go to the last section before the banner. Same here. Then we have our bottom banner here. And when we click on it, so I will do it on both. So this is our get a quote page. And this is our get a quote page with a subtle animation here. And as you may have noticed, we use fast with
several S's or A's, just to draw the attention. It's a fun brand, so we also want to integrate that into that brand. Okay, so now let's take a look at how it looks on the mobile. So as you can see, it's way cleaner, way easier to navigate. We're going for a fresh design, on brand. We really want people to remember that logo and to get a feel for the brand. It's a funny brand, it's an eco-friendly brand, and service is important. So this is our navigation here. It's big enough for people with big fingers, full screen. Okay, and now if you go to our quote page, so you see the form is big enough so that it's easy to just browse through the website and fill in the form. And that's what we want. That's how we're going to help our clients to get out of this and the issues that come with it.
Time stopped. Nothing else mattered. The day had come.
So now that we have the final version of our website, we need to go through minimum one round of revisions, maybe more with our client. And once it's validated, it's now time to go live. Now there are many steps involved and I've already covered that in another video, so I will link it. So the big day has come. It's time to go live. There's a lot of excitement. It's great for you. It's great for your client. Now, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to hear from my client for a few days, or even more realistically, I'm not going to hear from him for a few weeks. So I'll always leave my client some room and then I come back for some follow-up, but sometimes they come back first.
Hey, Casino.
Hi.
How you doing? Listen, I think I got a client for you.
Well, thanks. How come?
Well, I got a few new clients via my new website, and one of these clients is a guru called Guru Mucha Money. It's not one of those scammers, you know, like those gurus. No, this one is my guru. Mine. Okay, with that out of the way. So what happened is he saw my website and he loved it. And the thing is, he's just created a new business. So he changed his business name and also his personal name. I think it has to do with the fact that he promised some stuff under his previous name. Well, I don't know anyway. But the thing is, now he wants you to redesign his website.
Okay, well, thanks for the referral. So how's your new branding and your new website doing?
Well, I was skeptical at first, okay? I mean, come on. Paying more than a latte for a website. Come on. But I must admit you did the job. And your SEO guy too, because now I have more traffic and more leads. So thanks, man.
You're welcome. And once again, thank you for the referral. I really appreciate it.
Guru Mucha Money is going to call you like now, you know, because he's really busy. So he told me he's going to call you like now.
Oh, by the way, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also to my email newsletter. I share tips that may help your business.
Yeah, that's the least I can do. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by Infamous Academy, a tiny YouTube channel where I teach you how to stay tiny, shrink your influence, and eventually become infamous professionally. Where was I? Show me the money. Talk to you soon.
Okay, talk to you soon. Hello?
Namaste, my friend. Or Namaste, I'm not sure how to pronounce. I'm Guru Mucha Money from Scammy Ayurveda Seeds. Well, I would like you to redesign my website. I want it to be like Facebook, but with the orange color.